least a lot more of that. It took me a good hour to figure out what I wanted to sell them for after I had already seen them. Just running the ROIs and all of them. I pulled the taxes on every single one, what the insurance would be on every single one, what's the current income, blah, blah, blah. And then I presented that to my buyer at a certain price. So that's a good question though. Yeah, definitely way less work than 10 individual, I would say.
Yeah, so. I take that as a home run, man.
Sure. Because even if you spend 15, 20 hours on the entire deal, you're still
I'll
way
probably
ahead.
spend right around.
I agree with that, Mike.
So
yeah, I'll do over $1,000 an hour on this deal.
So there you go.
There you go.
Shout out wholesaling. There ain't nothing like it.
Yeah.
There ain't nothing like it.
Hey Gabe, we'll get to your question here shortly too. Hey,
What's up,
Carson,
Ezekiel?
I sent you an addendum. I'm emailing it right now. So when you have multiple, you'll look at it and make changes to it. When you have multiple properties, you want to do that. You want to put in like a purchase price per each property, because what if one or two of those properties, the title's jacked up or something like that? This addendum states that you could reduce it $52,000 or whatever the price of the property is and take that out of there. Does that make sense?
Okay. Whereas otherwise you're saying you could be screwed, just like they could cancel the contract because of that, or
I don't know, like you're agreeing to accept all those properties, but what if the title's jacked up on 1, 2, or 3 of them? Instead of waiting to get those fixed, you could still close on the other ones and worry about those later. I don't know if that makes sense, but
yeah, totally.
So the addendum here, let me just share the screen, okay, real fast, and then we could, because we're just talking wholesaling today, guys. So so if you can see my screen, it's an addendum amendment. Should any of the following conflict with the purchase agreement dated whenever the first 28 properties listed below are properties to be purchased, and then I list all the properties on this addendum, okay? And then it says purchase price to be 52. Seller will provide all leases, rent rolls, tenant application, inspection reports, lead paint records, city certifications, and any other documents pertinent to tenant or property. Upon seller notifying buyer in writing that all available documents have been provided, at which time, unless buyer has notified seller in writing of dissatisfaction with due diligence, all buyer contingency expire except title work. So you can take some of that out if it doesn't pertain to it. Rents to be prorated to date of closing, and security deposits to be transferred at closing on HUD's closing statements. Then you put the title company's name to provide title insurance and act as closer of transaction should seller be unable to provide clean title and or buyer object to title commitment, object to title commitment for any property. That property or property shall be removed from the property list, and the remaining properties shall be unaffected. There will be a $52,000 deduction in the purchase price for each property. The 14-day due diligence period, document review to start once all requested documentations are received. Closing to be on about 10 days from the end of due diligence period and after the properties have been inspected by the buyer. Buyer to take title and entity to be determined. Okay, so that, like I said, you can add things to this and subtract it. So if I had a purchase agreement, instead of writing them all on the front page of the purchase agreement, say see addendum / amendment attached, so
I like that.
That's how I do it.
That's clean.
Yeah, so I was buying a 28 pack, or we bought it, and this is how we did it back in the day. All right, let me stop that. Cool. You want to kick us off, Carson?
What was that?
You want to kick us off?
Yeah, man. What am I talking about? Talking about a deal?
Well, just tell us who you are, what we're doing here, and our little disclaimer in the beginning. We're not, we don't give legal advice, and we're just investors trying to help people. We don't, we're not CPAs. Check with, your legal team and everything else, and so we want to make sure we make that clear. And today's topic, we're just talking wholesaling today. You bring your question or anything real estate. So you just ask some questions and we'll answer them the best that we can.
Sweet.
Yeah, why don't you tell us about a deal you got going on?
Cool, man. Yeah, I'll introduce myself first. I know quite a few of you guys, definitely some new people on here, but my name's Carson Demick. I wholesale out of Flint, Michigan. I've been doing it for about 2 years as of this March or April full time. So about 2 years full time. And for the first year, I was maybe doing 1-2 deals a month. And I've really ramped that up in the past like 8 to 12 months, gotten really serious about it. So me, Todd, and Mike been linking up a lot and cold calling together, just banging out deals together. That's been a huge part of what we've all done. And it's helped all of us just working deals with each other, squatting up. We've all upped our business by easily $10,000 profit a month just from doing this. Some months way more. So that's been a game changer for me, especially because I work really well off that accountability of having to meet with Todd or Mike every single morning. So, I was just talking about that 10-pack, which I'm doing, and I should be closing on about March 1st. So that's an exciting deal. Let me think what other deals I got. I got a couple in the pipeline. I got one that's supposed to close Friday. This is an interesting deal. So we're still waiting to see if it closes or not. But we got the deal from cold calling oh man, what was this list? It was actually a very interesting list. It was I think it was an owner, not an owner occupied. It was some sort of absentee owner list. But we cold called them and we ended up getting it for $3,300. And it's a husband and wife that are separated. It's in a rough area of Flint. It's on a triple lot, but a pretty solid house structurally, really solid actually. But there's no hot water heater, furnace, it needs a lot of work. So I ended up selling it to one of my mentors for $6,000, and I'm splitting it with another wholesaler. So it's gonna be a really small deal. We'll each make $1,350 on it. So way like just super small deal, and it's been a kind of a pain, and I've spent a lot of time on it, and it's made me realize, once you get to a certain point in wholesaling, your time is worth a certain amount of money, and if you're doing deals for less than that, my time per hour, whether it's $100 an hour, $200 an hour, $300 an hour, I might only make $50 an hour on this deal. So you kind of have to keep that mindset when you're working these deals, because that deal, even though I'm making $1,350 off it, $1,350, isn't really, I'm technically losing money on that deal, right? Because if I would have focused on what I make average, I would have made, let's say, $2,600, $2,700 with that time. So, I kind of learned that that's the type of deal I should pass up on. But, contradictory to that, I'm also helping a new wholesaler get their first deal. So that kind of evens it out in my head, because not only am I helping them, but I'm, building a relationship with that person as well, and showing them that I care about them succeeding as well. And even though it's not worth my time, it's definitely worth their time to make that kind of money. Most people don't make $50 an hour. So, and he's only doing probably 5 hours of the work, which I'm totally fine with. I'll be doing way more, but again, I'm okay with doing that just to build that relationship with him and help him get his feet wet in wholesaling. So he's a go-getter. But anyway, we sold it for $6,000. We're closing on it Friday morning. We're still waiting on, there was a couple mortgages that came up. So I had to go to the seller's apartment today. She lives at like a nursing home facility, and get her to sign a mortgage payoff authorization form, giving the title company the right to pull the mortgage information to make sure that, this deal could easily fall apart. If there's a $3,000 mortgage on the house, the deals fall apart because there's already like $2,000 in tax. So it's a tough deal, but I did what I had to do. I went out there and met with her. She was too old. She didn't have email. She had a flip phone when I was out there, and I got that stuff signed, sent it to the title company. her daughter called me and grilled me with questions while I was there. Where do you live? What's the name? What are you having this person sign? Blah blah blah. Because it's older. Somebody mute that, Marine. Mark.
Hey, Marine, do you have control? Can you mute those?
So yeah, I mean, that's kind of the gist of the deal. Like I said, it could fall apart, but we're scheduled to close at 9 o'clock on Friday. So I'm excited to get it done, and every closing you build, it's not always about the money. Sometimes I built a relationship with a contractor through a wholesale deal. I sold him a wholesale deal. I made $400 on the assignment fee, smallest assignment fee I've ever made. But I was with him this morning and he's doing a $10,000 job for me. But that was a connection I made through a really small wholesale fee. So, it's always worth it to do the deal. There's definitely some deals you pass up on, but once you're in a deal, I just commit to it and do whatever I have to do to get it done. And if it wasn't worth it, I'll just, I'll just remember that for next time. So that's the deal. I guess that's just the first deal that came to mind. I have a couple closing on Friday. So definitely a interesting one though. Mike, what do you got, man?
What's going on, everyone? Michael Heater here. Been wholesaling. It's funny. I checked my Gmail today, or my notification on Facebook. First post I made was June 3rd, 2019. I closed my deal, right? First deal then. So anyways, coming up on 2 years doing it full time. So anyways, touch on what Carson said earlier, squatting up is always the theme of every single Zoom we have. So big believer in that. But I wanted to go into something that we've got in the pipeline. Nothing's on paper yet, but I feel that we could all take away something important from this lead. So anyways, and if you were here on week 2 when we talked about the 4 pillars of motivation, I touched on another very important thing you need to find out when you're talking to sellers is who exactly is the decision maker and if there's multiple decision makers. And I'll tell you exactly why. So this lead I reached out to 2 weeks ago via virtual assistant cold calling for me, submitted the lead. And I quickly found out about this lady, Miss Jaquanda. They owned a property. The tenant's not paying rent. So there's a lot of pain. There's motivation there. And they're tired of being in the residential real estate game, right? They want to get out of residential and move into the commercial stuff. I said, awesome. So had this initial phone conversation, learned that she also has 2 other properties in the same vicinity as this first one. Which are all 3 in nicer parts of Flint, where homes are 50 to 60 plus $1,000 ARV kind of deal. And these other 2 are vacant, or actually the 2 of them didn't occupy, the other one's vacant. Anyways, so in that initial conversation, I learned quickly that she owns these properties, right? But on top, she's not. She collectively will decide with her mother, who kind of got her into real estate, about selling the property and confirming price. So learning that from her, I quickly realized that I don't want to get into throwing out a bunch of numbers and making a bunch of commitment to price without having all the decision makers there. Okay, guys, because what you're doing is you're eliminating that you're eliminating the objective right off the bat. And funny enough, so we went and walked 2 of these properties just 2 days ago. We were not able to walk the third quite yet because the lady's got COVID, but we were able to walk these properties and again, confirmed with her what number she was looking to get for all 3 and said, great, I'll follow up with you. So unfortunately, haven't been able to get back on the phone with her. I've got an appointment with her on Friday to have a phone conversation. So when I set this appointment for Friday, I already knew that she's not the only decision maker. And I confirmed with her even again when we were out looking at the properties. I said, hey, at the end of the day, I know you own these properties, but you will have to discuss this with your mother as well to confirm, right, on price and selling them. She said, yes. So what I did today is after I set the phone appointment for Friday, I said, also, could you please make sure on Friday that both you and your mother are available to speak on the phone because I want everybody there, all the decision makers. I point blank told her that. And you know what's funny enough? She said, yeah, that's not a problem. And she says, man, you knew I was going to use the, oh, I need to go talk to my mom excuse. And I just laughed at her and said, exactly. So she knew what I was doing. And she so she knew she was going to pull that card on me, right? So you've already eliminated that objection from the get-go. So yeah, that's what I wanted you guys to take away from this. Now I've already overcame that objection, so it gives me more ammunition and more confidence going into that phone appointment on Friday. So everything should go well. Hopefully we get all 3 locked up, and then hopefully we sell those for a nice juicy spread. But yeah, just take away that that key tip from that lead. So that's the one I wanted to share.
Sweet. All right, I got a quick one. Again, my name's Todd Chun. I've been wholesaling for 4 years as of January 1st. That just passed, so 4 years and almost a month. And the one I want to talk about is one that I squatted up with another gentleman that's on the phone here with us, but it was a 3-unit in Ecorse, Ecorse, I believe it was, River Rouge, one of the two. And he got it under contract, figured out the price together, contract for, and then I had a buyer on the other end already, someone that I know that buys that area, loves it, and he wouldn't complain about the price. And we got it for around 45,000 and wholesaled it, and pretty much he bought it sight unseen for 70, I think it was 70 or 75, one of the two. I think it was 70. So it was a pretty good spread. And we went to go look at it. It was kind of funny. We finally made the appointment to get inside. Supposedly had 1 unit rented. The 1 unit's a 3-bedroom, the other unit's a 2, and the other unit's a 1. And went inside. When we got there, there was another kid. I say kid because I'm 50 years old. He was probably like Carson and Michael's age, and had a clipboard, looked out of place, and wondering what we were doing. We walked up there, and my guy introduced himself because he's the one that's been talking to the seller. And she looked at us like we're like, who are these guys? Like, what do you mean? She thought the kid was my guy, right? And so it got kind of confusing and everything. And we already had a signed contract. So we pretty much told the kid, look, we got a signed contract. We're buying it. Get out of here. Nicely. He kind of got out of the way. He left, and then he comes back and he's like, well, I'll just walk through the house. Said, there's no reason to walk through the property. You're not buying it. We got it. Because we did. We 100%. Anyway, walked through the property with my buyers, got there. I trust him 100%. I know he's not going to go, even though it's already locked up, but he just needed to do his inspection. Walk through it. First unit, it was a 3-bedroom up and down. And then we walked around to the other unit, and it was locked. And she goes, this wasn't unlocked. This wasn't locked the other day. But long story short, we broke in and went up one of the units. There's a guy squatting in there. Nice old guy. It didn't bother us at all.
I got Casey saying they won't go too far right now.
Oh, I thought he was asking a question. Hang on. So, nice old guy drinking a Natty Daddy. And, I was talking to him about his Natty Daddies. I said, man, I wish I could drink one right now. And walked through that one. Then we went to the other one. We pretty much kicked that door down. And another squatter was in there, and he was keeping it real clean, real nice guy. It was actually pretty, real clean. We think that the one that was allowed to be there, that's not paying rent in the 3-bedroom, knew these guys. They're probably collecting rent from them or something. But anyway, long story short, my guy's good. He's ready to close. We had to order a FOIA. Because she bought it at the tax auction. So once that comes in, we're closing. It should be in hopefully next week is what the goal is. But you know, it's just a learning experience, you know, just walking through them and being careful and everything else. So she was upset that those people were in there. I said, look, at least someone's watching the place, and we'll worry. You don't have to worry about it. My buyer will worry about it when he buys it. So that's it.
Todd, I have a question actually about that, because I had a seller text me today at 7:52 actually, and I asked if we could get inside a house. So because you know how to get into houses with squatters, you know what to say to the squatters. Like, I don't know how to talk to them, and with me, like, I look like a kid, so they might even, I don't know how. I like, what do you think the best way is to present myself to squatters if I'm going to look at the house? What do I say to them?
Well, you got a couple of things. So if you got a really good deal, you could sell it to the investor and let them know that you can't get inside of it, and sight unseen. I have a couple of investors that buy that way. And then I have a couple of investors that will go to the house and they'll get inside the home. Okay. So you don't have to worry about it. But if you wanted to go inside and talk to them, the way I present it, of course, you don't want to go alone. It's always better with in twos, or three might be too much, but go with somebody. And you knock on the door, you let them know that what I do is, look, I got an opportunity. Either there's a couple of ways of doing it. You could say, I got an opportunity to buy, maybe buy this house, and I would love for you to stay here if you like. Can you show me what needs to be fixed? And I ask them, do they want to stay there? And even if you have no intentions, because they might, whatever, it's a way to get in the house. And they'll show you everything that's wrong with the house, right? Or you could say, you're working for, you're going to be the new property manager. It looks like the seller's selling it, and you work for the property management company, and we want to see if you want to stay in the house. And you talk to them and say, if they told me no at the door, then I would say, look, were you renting the house prior? And they're probably going to say no. Say, okay, well, it looks like they're going, with the new laws, and you don't even have to tell them what the laws are. With the new laws, they're able to come here and evict you. And what I'm trying to avoid is all that. If I could get you a few dollars, I don't know how much, but if I can get you some money, when's the quickest you could be out? And then you try to, just have a conversation, try to talk to them, and, and that's it. It's kind of, you gotta finesse the situation. So that's really how I do it. 90% of the time I'm in. Sometimes you can offer them $50 or $100 to get in. Even tenants that won't let you in because of COVID, you can mask up, glove up, and everything else, and say, look, I want to, you don't have to tell them you're buying it. You can say, I'm the property manager, inspector, and I want to know what's wrong with the house. If they're a tenant, they're going to tell you everything that's wrong with it, even, and they might let you walk in, and you might give them $50, $100, something like that, So those are a couple options, but the best option is just to get it at a great price, sell it at a great price, and let the next person worry about it.
Gotcha. The text this lady sent me was, he refuses to let me inside the house and he's big and scary, is what she told me. So I was just kind of curious, how you would how you'd approach that. So that's good to know, though. I like the line about, we don't want to evict you. So, and then going into the options possibly. That's good.
Yeah. And you say, we don't want to evict you, or, do you want to lease it out? I could probably work on and getting you a great lease rate and things like that. And look at the house, or if it seems like she's a don't want her, you could probably get that price. You could probably get it cheap, and you might even be able to sell it as is with the squatter. Let them worry about it. There's I got quite a few investors that are really good at dealing with that situation.
Cool.
And you might bring Dane with you, you know, someone like that.
Yeah. Yeah, Dan, Sean, yep.
All right. I know we had a question. Hey, Gabe, you're first up, my man. You had a question that you wanted to ask?
Sure. Thank you. So I'm trying to get my camera to turn on, but it's not working. So I guess I'll just go ahead and answer or ask it. So basically, for everyone who doesn't know, I'm a wholesaler. I'm from Lansing, and I'm into this deal right now. There's no contract or anything, but this is it's pretty complicated in my opinion. So it's in Lansing. It's not in an ideal area for flips. I cold called this guy and I said, you know, like, would you consider an offer on the property? And he was like, oh yeah, I'm trying to get out of being a landlord. I hate it, and I'm just selling my properties to so I can buy farmland. And I was like, cool, great. And so he was like, yeah, I have $10,000 in back taxes on this property. And I was like, okay. And I was like, so basically, I went out there, looked at the property, got pictures and video. It's not in a great area, like I said. So the best buyer would be probably a buy and hold investor. And I looked at the comps in the area, and I saw similar homes, I should say. We're selling for around 40,000. It's a 3-bed, 1-bath. And so I went there, took pictures. Looked at the comps, and then I gave him a call. And I originally was going to try and get him down to 30 because I figured I could assign it for 40,000. And we ended up going back and forth, and I ended up getting him to agree to 35. So I was like, okay, cool. You know, an easy $5,000 wholesale. And so I was excited. And then he says, let me read exactly what he says. He basically started throwing up all these objections in terms of the contract. He wanted no inspection contingency. He wanted what did he say? He wanted a clause in there because he asked me. He said he was like, are you the one who's going to be bringing the funds to the table? And, you know, at that point, I wasn't going to lie. And I basically told him, I was like, yeah, so what I do is I'm a deal finder, and I partner with an investor who brings the money to table. You get all the money we agreed upon. And he seemed to have an issue with that. And so, yeah, so basically he started throwing up all these objections like, well, what did he say? He said he wanted in the contract, seller can continue rehab at his discretion, you know, just a bunch of stuff like that. And so I actually called around to a couple of people thinking that just to ask for advice. And I sent them some pictures. And another issue with this house is that the one bathroom in the house is built into the roof. So you can't even like stand up all the way in it. So that was another issue that I overlooked. And the guy that I talked to said, like, yeah, anybody who buys that is probably going to have trouble attracting quality tenants, you know, with the one bathroom in the house being like that. And that makes sense to me. So, well, anyways, we went back and forth.
I got a quick question. How much in repairs do you think it needs to be rent ready?
Sorry. I was kind of going off on a tangent. This has been going on for a while. Basically, I would say it needs probably 7,000 or 8,000 in rehab. He started rehabbing it, like the floors are done and everything, or not the floors, but like half the floors are done. It probably needs half the house needs flooring. It's a small house too. It's probably 700-800 square foot.
Okay.
So
and you said the ARV was 40?
Well, yeah, I would say, I mean, it was in a similar condition. I would say it's 40.
So, all right, what about the ARV after it's rent ready?
You know, I'm not actually entirely sure about that. You know, we were looking at the rents for the area, and he said that you could get, you know, $1,000 a month for it because it was a 3-bedroom. And we looked at Rentometer. I don't know how accurate that is.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, and it said right around there. It said like the median was like 950. So I mean, it probably could get 1,000. He said he's got 1,000 before. So basically, my question is, also I should mention that I tried to throw out I was like, hey, I know this guy who can list it for you if that's something that you want. And he's just like, no, I don't want that. And then he called me today and said, look, if you can, he's like, I know you probably know a lot of investors. He's like, if you can find a buyer for 35,000, I can pay you. And this wasn't like a written agreement. It's just like a verbal thing. So I'm just wondering, is this something that I should just, walk away from, or is this something I should keep pursuing?
Well, first I would figure out what the ARV is once it's fixed up and rentable.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And whatever that number is, or you have him tell you what that number is. And because the reason I say that is you told me, I thought you were saying it's the ARV is $40,000. And if it needs $8,000 in repair, that's 32 grand minus that. And then I'm thinking, why are you paying 35? That's what I'm thinking. So,
right.
But if it's more than 40, it's a different story. Because we're not buying houses at the value of what the ARV is, of course.
Right.
But this guy, you know what? He's got to go your way.
Mm-hmm.
Once you start changing things around and trying, of course, everyone's a little bit different. I know how you said you're a deal finder. That's a good, you're being honest.
I didn't want to lie to him. I figured that wasn't going to end well.
Right. And another way you could say it, that's a good way too. I know they teach that in the TTP. I heard them say that before or Wholesaling Inc. And another thing you could say is, look, I'm an investor. For me to buy this house, I got to be at 20,000, and I know you're not going to take that. I do work with other investors, and and they pay more to me, and some are even out of state or in a different city, and they like investing in this area. And what I would do is, bring their guys through here with me and let them look at it, and we could, I should be able to get that whatever number you agreed upon,
Mm-hmm.
So he knows then at that time, he won't even ask you if you're the buyer. You already told him you're not the buyer, because for you to be the buyer, you would have to pay 20 grand. You would pay 20 grand for it,
Mm-hmm. Would you as a buyer, or anybody in here, would you as a buyer take down a house with no inspection contingency in it?
You mean sight unseen, or?
He said his main thing is that he wants to get it sold quickly. He has back taxes on it, and if he doesn't pay them off, I don't remember by when he's going to get foreclosed on. That's what he told me. So he said that he doesn't want to have that in there because he doesn't want to have someone come in and then exercise the inspection contingency and back out. He said that was the main thing. So
I mean, that depends. So from my perspective, if you're buying it, that's going to be different than if you're wholesaling it. If I'm buying it and I see it, then I don't need an inspection. I never do inspections at any of my houses. If I'm wholesaling it, then I obviously have to get my buyers through. But you can say, well, let me meet out there. Let's go to the property one more time with my money lender or whatever, the guy who's bringing money to the table, and then we'll decide right there if we want it with no inspections. Or just ask him, look, we'll just tell him you'll do a 5-day inspection. I don't know what kind of inspection you told him, but make it a 3-day inspection. Get 3 buyers in there in the 3 days. You can kind of do it however you want. Just do it however he needs to get it done. It sounds like he is a motivated seller, so I would pursue it. I would just do it like that. Either bring a buyer out there again with you to the property, say, hey, let's meet at the house. I'm going to bring my partner so that we don't have to do an inspection, or just say, look, well, let's get things going on paper today. I'll get it done this weekend, and then Monday I'll give you a non-refundable deposit. You could call them tomorrow morning and say that, and then you have all day Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to show the house. Mm-hmm. You said it is tenant occupied or it's vacant?
No, it's currently vacant. And the other thing he keeps saying is like, I don't want this to drag on for much longer. Like, he was like, basically, if you can't find someone, I'm just going to finish the rehab and list it. So that's another issue that I'm seeing.
I mean, I would just say, I would just, again, do the exact same thing. Well, give me till Monday. Okay. Like, well, then I'll just do a 3-day inspection period and have your tonality kind of like assertive. We'll just do a 3-day inspection period. Monday, I'll do a non-refundable deposit for you. so that you can start working on it Monday if we don't end up buying it. But, you know, I'm pretty confident this is going to work out. So let me just get my guy in there so that after Sunday, we don't have to do any more inspections. At that point, we can close Friday if we need to. That's what I would do. I mean, if he's going to fix it up and sell it, there's nothing you can do about that.
All right.
You know,
You got one more chance to come through with 2 or 3 guys on the same day, and your buyers that might be interested in it, they'll think you have it under contract, and you make sure you let them know, you know, the rules of the showing. You do not talk to the seller. You look at the house and you get out. Any questions, you'll talk to me after.
So you're saying I should start advertising it like I have the contract and then bring the buyers to the house?
No.
Okay.
What I mean is, well, if you don't have a buyer's list, you need to pick up the phone and call people, look at the MLS, find out some buyers that bought rental properties in that neighborhood, and call them and see if they're interested. Do not blast it out to everyone. Squad up with another wholesaler that has a few pocket buyers in that area.
Yeah, I know a couple guys like that.
Yeah, or look at the MLS or anyone on your buyer's list that you found on Facebook, and you just call them and say, are you looking for a rental at this time? I got one in this area. I'm just trying to get a few people through it. I don't want to blast it out to everyone and get, you know, I only got a couple opportunities on this one. I just want to make it work. I want to give you a first look at it or something like that, but no,
Okay.
Don't blast it out.
then the safest way is obviously to get a contract signed with an inspection period on it. Because then you have the legal rights to market it at that point. And I've done what Todd's saying multiple times. That's
You have?
absolutely an option if you can't do the other thing. But I've never had an issue. You know, maybe don't put an inspection period in there, but just tell them verbally, like, I'll put the deposit on Monday, but I do need to get a couple people in here. I don't have to write that in the contract. Maybe that'll help him mentally. And then if your guys don't end up buying it, or he doesn't let you get back inside, you know, I make him verbally agree to letting you get back inside a couple times this weekend, but then just tell him, well, we're not putting a deposit down because you didn't let us get inside, or the inspection failed, my partner didn't want to buy it.
Okay.
So that's going to be the safest way to get his name and your name on a contract. But, you know, if he's I don't see why he wouldn't do it if you tell him Monday, and it'll be for sure thing. And then get a title company that's quick. I don't know if you have one, and tell them you'll close Friday if it works out.
Okay.
So
Awesome.
it's definitely what we would do.
I'll see if I can make this work. I'm still hopeful.
Yeah, definitely.
And Gabe, if he's making it difficult for you, he's going to make it difficult for any other wholesaler.
Yep.
The only thing you really got to worry about is an actual buyer trying to come. You know, if I was a buyer, no, I would never do it to you. But if I was a buyer and and I wanted the house and I didn't know you, I could